Okay, so we're in What We Talk About When We Talk About God by Rob Bell, and I want to talk real quick about one of the shortest chapters in the book, which is also my favorite. One of my favorites. I don't know. I think it might be my favorite because it's all about mystery and about how hard this conversation is to have, and about how we need to approach it and how we need to think about it and realize that it has its limitations and that it has its gifts. And I think that's so important because I want to help us have a conversation when we're not always going to know what words to use, and sometimes we're going to have to ask each other, what did you mean when you use that word? What does that mean to you? Talk to me about that. So yeah, language is a journey that we're going to be on together to talk about our spiritual lives and how we're approaching life in a holistic way, and trying to bring a spiritual just understanding and foundation in a holistic way to our lives, but as we're inevitably coming from different backgrounds, whether within Christianity or outside of Christianity. There's so many different versions of faith. I love the way he talks about how everybody has faith. It's just, what do you have faith in? So I'm going to read a few things here. He says, whatever we say about God always rests within the larger reality of what we can't say. Meaning always resides within a larger mystery. Knowing always takes place within unknowing. Whatever has been revealed to us, surrounded by that which hasn't been revealed to us. Which I love, because there's stuff that I've figured out or that resonates with me, or I read and I'm just like, ooh, that's a piece, I need that. But I know that it fits within bigger questions that aren't answered. He says, we do know things. We know them. When we do know things, we know them with every fiber in our being. They're revealed to us. They seize us and they won't let us go. They haunt us. They capture us. They plant themselves deep in our hearts and they don't leave. So when we talk about God, we're talking about our brushes with spirit, our awareness of the reverence humming within us, our sense of the nearness and the farness, that which we know, that which is unknown, that which we can talk about, and that which eludes the grasp of our words. That which is crystal clear and that which is more mysterious than ever. And sometimes language helps and sometimes language fails. Several points then about how we talk about God. First, he says we've got to acknowledge that we're always in the middle of one paradox after another. Which, I love that he says that because that's been my experience. It's totally true. And all this poetic stuff that I just love, like near and far, known and unknown, words and silence, answers and questions, that which is deeply mysterious and ambiguous, and that which is right in front of us as plain as day. I think there's a part early in Wayne Dyer's book, The Power of Intention, where he talks about free will and, intention and destiny, and just kind of how to embrace both and live with that paradox. And I love the way he talks about it, and I think it's so important. I think living with paradox is a key to the spiritual journey, and I think it's counterintuitive for us growing up in the Western world with a Western mindset. And so that's something that we need to cultivate. He says, I point this out because the dominant consciousness of our world continues to perceive and process reality mostly in either or categories. We want to know whose side are you on, which one is the answer, how the tension is going to be resolved, how the paradox will be eliminated. And then he says, you can believe something with so much conviction that you die for that belief. And yet, in the exact same moment, you can also say, I could be wrong. This is because conviction and humility, like faith and doubt, are not opposites. They're dance partners. I love that. I love that, love that, love that. I think, as you gain spiritual maturity, that will resonate with you. Conviction and humility. The more that you go on the spiritual journey and you connect with yourself, you connect with your source, you're in that place, you have that conviction that that you know that you matter, you know that you're here for a reason, you know that God is real, you know that you know, your soul speaks to you, that the divine spirit inside sustains you, like whatever it is, like these really deep convictions that you know, and yet even when you try to talk about them, you might explain it and then be like, I could be wrong, that could be a bad way to explain it. Conviction and humility. I know something so intensely that it means everything, and I will die for it or bleed for it or whatever, you know, or give my life for it, and yet the humility to say, but I don't understand it, because we can't, right? It's possible to hold your faith with open hands, living with great conviction, and yet at the same time humbly admitting that your knowledge and perspective will always be limited. I love this. He says, do you believe the exact same things you did in the exact same way you did 5 years ago? I don't think any of us do. If you're growing, if you're not stagnant, if you're growing and changing in any way, like you don't see things the same way you did 5 years ago. You've had experiences since then. He says, you've grown, evolved, changed, had new experiences, studied, listened, observed, suffered, reflected, and re-examined. That's how faith is. We learn as we go. And he talks about how our convictions don't make us closed-minded. They make us more flexible and limber and engaging. I love that. And he says, like a tree planted near water with deep roots, a storm comes and the tree doesn't break because it's grounded enough to bend. You are a tree. I am a tree. When we grow and mature, we are grounded enough to bend, and our convictions that give us strength don't make us closed-minded. They help us be open and be able to bend and flex with the new experiences and the new revelations of God and science and the world, and both the challenges and the beauty of just this world that we still live in. Alright, so that is how he talks about language is both helpful and yet fails us, and about how we need to live with paradox. So I want to challenge you to embrace the paradox of this journey.